Your monthly subscription box from postflybox.com includes all the materials needed to tie a dozen flies, along with some extra goodies. This Dumbell Clouser pattern is a phenomenal baitfish imitation. Tied sparse, it's easy to cast, somewhat translucent, and moves well. It's also quite versatile in that it can be tied in a wide range of colors. The foundation of the Dumbell Clouser is a heavy-duty size 6 hook. Get the hook firmly secured in the jaws of your tying vise, then load a bobbin with the chartreuse unithread. Get the thread started on the hook shank behind the eye, and after taking a few wraps rearward, snip off the excess tag. Wrap back up the hook shank and leave your thread a full eye length back from the back edge of the hook eye. Pick up one of the dumbbell eyes and lay it diagonally on top of the hook shank at the location of your tying thread. Take a couple of cross wraps to roughly position the eyes, then more cross wraps to lock them down. Follow these with yoke wraps that go over the eyes, then under the hook shank. Next, take flat wraps below the eyes but above the shank to pull all the previous wraps in tight. End with your thread behind the dumbbell eyes. To add some flash to the body of the fly, snip 5 to 6 strands of the crinkly pearl material free from the hank. Place the snipped off ends on top of the hook shank behind the eyes and take thread wraps to secure them back to the start of the hook bend. Then wrap forward with the material behind your tying thread, creating a somewhat tapered body in the process. Anchor the material behind the eyes and snip the excess off close. Green fluorofiber is tied in next. You don't need much, maybe 30 of the really fine strands. Measure 4 hook lengths of the material. While keeping that measurement, snip the excess butt ends off. Anchor the fibers to the top of the hook shank behind the eyes with tight wraps of tying thread. Now, snip a similar sized clump of the white faux bucktail free from the hank, then measure so it's the same length as the green fibers. Here too, snip the excess butt ends off square and anchor the material to the top of the hook shank behind the eyes. It's a really good idea to add a drop of super glue to the wraps, then take thread wraps over top of the adhesive to set it. Flip the fly over so the underside of the hook faces up. Snip 10 or so strands of the white flashabou free from the hank. Measure, trim, and tie in the same way as you've done with the other materials. Once again, a drop of super glue covered with tight thread wraps will ensure the material can't pull free. Now, snip 3 or 4 strands of the pearl flashabou free and find their midpoint. Place the midpoint down between the eyes and take thread wraps to secure it. Pull the forward pointing portion back and use rearward wraps of tying thread to pin it down. Flip the fly back up to its original orientation, then relocate your tying thread to in front of the eyes. Snip another 3 or 4 strands of the pearl flashabou free and find their midpoint. As before, anchor the midpoint to the hook shank, but this time in front of the eyes. Pull the forward pointing portion back and anchor it behind the eyes, then carry your tying thread once again to in front of the eyes. Take cross wraps around the dumbbell eyes to clean things up a bit. Then, reach for your whip finish tool and use it to do a 5 or 6 turn whip finish, seat the knot well, and snip your tying thread free. A drop of head cement, here Sally Hansen hard as nails, applied to all the exposed thread wraps will help to ensure they don't come unraveled and that none of the materials are going to pull free. And that's a nice sparse Dumbell Clouser, ready to catch nearly any species of warm water fish.